Good stuff. So, if you came today to see, oh, look at all the anonymous animals there. If you came today to see Matthew Arnold, I found out that I am, in fact, Arnold Matthew. So, I think I'm supposed to be here. Joe, where's Joe? Up there. Joe, thanks, Joe. You always. Good. And you are here because you might think something about data and Cambridge Analytica and practicing some pedagogy with your students in class to help mine their data, secure their data, and be aware of how they're sharing their data is of use to you, which is great because so far it's been of use to me. So when the Cambridge Analytica scandal hit last year, I got to thinking, uh-oh. And then I thought, wait a minute. I've never clicked on those annoying quizzes in Facebook because I think they're ridiculous. So I was okay. But if you did click on them, you may have given up some of your data to Facebook and therefore up to a company called Cambridge Analytica. So thumbs up again if you have successfully joined the slideshow. Excellent. And one more thumb if you've joined the YouTube discussion. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. Going on. Great. The discussion for me began here at a fancy slogan for today. A fancy slogan. So I got to thinking, what can I do with the words mine and mine? Because fancy slogans are great Twitter bait. So please, if you can, tweet this out because I think it's kind of brilliant. Will you be more of a data mind? Or will you be data mined? You can practice some strategies that may help you say data mine. Data mine. All right. And if you haven't joined that YouTube discussion yet, the link is right there. And you can flip between the slides as we go along to discuss. Okay. A short primer about Cambridge Analytica from a representative for BBC News. Is there anyone in the room here that canceled or deleted their Facebook account after the Cambridge Analytica scandal? UGDSB thing. Good. Okay. Yeah, I did too. So let's see what this representative did. There's some more information here. There are some great links that describe this in more detail, but this presentation is not just about Cambridge Analytica. In fact, we're going to end up working collaboratively as a group to design some success criteria for minding data. So here we go.
I'm Katie Tyler, I work for the business unit at the BBC. I went onto my Facebook page this morning and had a look to see whether I had been affected by the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Turns out that I have, and I found out that the information that was passed on to Cambridge Analytica was my public profile, my birthday, my current city, and my page likes. I went to quite considerable lengths to make sure that my birthday wasn't shared, and that has been passed on to Cambridge Analytica, because I think that's relatively personal information. The page likes that I had a look at you can build up quite an intricate picture of what I'm like and the sort of person I am. So, for example, there are the fitness clubs that I've been to. There's the cookery websites that I might have liked at one particular time. There's even a tennis club that I went to a few years ago. The way that they got this data is that one of my friends did a quiz called This Is Your Digital Life. And as a result of doing that quiz, they sucked in information about me, which was then used by Cambridge Analytica. I also found out...
So I'm going to pause it there. So she did not take the quiz, but one of her friends did. So the information that she had shared with her friend was then sucked in by Cambridge Analytica when her friend had access to her stuff. She did not actually take the quiz.
That the person that did the quiz may have shared posts and messages which included messages from me. That worries me a little bit because some of that, I don't know the sorts of things I might have sent. So I don't know what data's out there. And it does make me think a lot more about how I share my information and what I do with it. So much so that I've actually deactivated my Facebook account because I think it's time for me to take stock a little bit and look at actually the sorts of information I'm sharing and where I'm sharing it.
Great. Good. Thoughts, ideas, questions, please add them to the YouTube discussion page. Take the chance right now to go on there and test it. Say hello, give me a thumbs up emoji, put something in there right now about any questions that you have about that. If you have any concerns, if you know anyone who possibly took the quiz as well. Ready? Has anyone ever seen one of these login screens before? You've got a new app on your phone, you go into a new website, you think it might be worth something to you, and you come upon one of these. Give me a thumbs up if you see one. All right. Who has clicked on them to use them? Log in with Facebook or log in with Google? Anybody? I sure have. Absolutely. So, what happened? This is where it all started. So, just by taking the quiz, it wasn't quite possible that they could get as much data as they wanted from you. You had to log in using something like this. So back in 2014, there was a person named Alexander Kogan who worked for Cambridge Analytica. And he designed a quiz called This Is My Digital Life. This is my digital life. And people logged in using something like this. Now, this diagram is from Vox Online. If you click on that logo at the left, that will lead you to a wealth of resources that Vox has curated and stories that they have about the Cambridge Analytica scan. Click on that, it'll pop out, and it will lead you to another place. So up to 87 million Facebook users had their data exposed. The 270,000 Facebook users who took the quiz, and that app was called This Is My Digital Life, and it was Alexander Kogan. So there's a short summary. This is found on Vox as well. There is much more to this diagram. Much more to this diagram, because most of that data, or a good chunk of that data, was shared with, you guessed it, the Trump campaign. That's right. Shared with the Trump campaign. And that's that line that goes there, but it doesn't lead to my next slide, because I wanted to bring it back to Canada. So what did it mean for Canada? Well, Facebook says that more than 600,000 Canadians may have had their data shared with Cambridge Analytica. That's only about 0.7% of the 87 million people, and the majority of those users, nearly 82%, were in the United States. By the way, quite proud, there is a properly formatted APA advanced citation page that you can access for this as well. I always tell my students, cite your sources. I even went on the internet and figured out what a technical report should be as far as citation style goes. It's APA, everybody. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I did some looking, and it was APA. Alrighty, now, time to play. Who's on their Facebook account right now? It's okay if you are. You know, if you'd like to try this out, log into your Facebook account now. Log into your Facebook account now. And up in the top right-hand corner, you can find where your settings are. You may have been there before. At the settings, it's this little drop-down menu right here, and then you click on Settings. And once you've done that, there's a link in the settings called your Facebook information. Your Facebook information. There, yeah. This right here. Remember, you can also look on your screen to find this instead of looking up here because you've got the presentation open. And then the two most interesting ones for me were accessing your information and managing your information. And this one is the one that I use. I've used this twice now. Another interesting fact to know about Cambridge Analytica and about Facebook is back then, in 2014, Messenger was not its own native app, was not its own standalone app. So everything was done within the Facebook platform. So it was much easier to just click a button and go, and then be able to access the information from your friends as well if you're just messaging. All right, take a look around. Specifically, take a look and see what it says about advertising. And play. And you can see some of the sites that you visited. You can see some of the data that's been shared. You can even pick what your preference is about who you want to share that information with. It was really interesting for me to find out that when I went into there, the defaults were share with everybody. Every time you update the app, well, there you go.
Like that, but then not the reset them, just get your settings up to what they want them to be like.
Thank you. Okay, so how did we get here? How did we get here? Surely there must be a way to prevent such a thing, and especially in our classrooms and with our students. So there are three specific approaches that you can take to data sharing that I've discovered through researching this. Right, well, there may be a solution, and the rest I put in there because I thought it was cheeky and funny, and I like the movie Airplane. But no. I know it's right before lunch, right? This is one of the most challenging spots because people are thinking, I wonder what's in the buffet line right now. If I can get down there, I can get ahead of everybody. That's okay. I won't take it personally. All right. If you look down on the bottom, right here, bottom right-hand side of this cheeky slide, you'll see that it says, we as educators might just be able to help. Starting in the classroom, we may be able to plant the seeds through, 1, physical strategies. Physical strategies. 2, minding your active tracking. And 3, minding what's called passive tracking as well. Passive tracking. The next few slides are going to show you some examples of those. Don't bow to the default settings. This is tip number 1. When you download an app, go into it and see what your notification settings are. Every time it's updated, go in and see what your notification settings are, see what your privacy settings are, and make sure that you're only sharing what you want to share. So there's tip number 1. Knowledge is power. Know your rights. Read the information. Go through the privacy policies. And through researching this, I've had a great opportunity to do this. Also, sitting down with my students in the classrooms and going through these policies as well. So I teach a learning strategies class, a grade 12 learning strategies class this year, and this will be in one of our units. And there are certain practices that we have and routines in the classroom that we use so the students are being aware of these sort of strategies. Okay, next. If you go to this slide right now, it is going to explain what some of these terms mean. Any of these links, if you click on them, the blue ones at least, don't click on media access control because you'll just be clicking forever and getting really frustrated with me. Anything that's underlined and in blue leads you to a document of definitions. It leads you to a document of definitions. You can open that up. And although I love the sound of my own voice, some people find it very soothing. Soothing to the point where it puts them to sleep, and I'm okay with that. For the past few years, I've been trying to work on varying the tone and pitch of my voice when I give presentations. I'll get to the point of this. I'm not going to read the definitions to you. Please take a moment now to open up the definition document and take a look at some of those different definitions. We are going to be applying these definitions. You don't need to memorize them. I am not going to test you on these at the end. If you want to be tested, and then we could whip something up real quickly, but that's okay. You can test each other. You can ask some questions on the discussion page if you'd like. But as you're reading through those, quietly and reflectively to yourself, I'm going to see what there is on the discussion page. I'll also take questions live as we go. Salmon last year. Mm-hmm. Yes. No. Very few of my students actually have active Facebook accounts anymore. Yeah. There you go. And I heard an interesting thing in the past year that there's approaching that there are going to be more dead people on Facebook soon than live people. So they're having trouble getting new recruits through Facebook. Yeah. Thank you.
What do you call that thing?
11:23. Excellent. Right on time. Super. Hey, give me a thumbs up when you've had a chance to open that document and just see that it exists. Fantastic. Okay. Had anyone ever heard the word Tor before today? Cool. All right. Interesting. The Onion browser? Something like that before. Okay, nice thumbs up. Very, very enthusiastic. I like that one. It was up above head level. And again, usually before lunch, the thumbs get a bit lower. A bit lower, a bit lower. But we put them up there. Bring that burst of energy a double espresso just can't. But it can. I love espresso. Okay, good. What's an exit file? Exit files. This is something that I had no idea about, again, until I did some research for this. Does anybody know what an exit file is? Spoiler alert, it's on the document. Yes, exchangeable image file format. Yes, PNG, JPG, those sorts of things. Your camera on your phone defaults to the location tags being on. So if you have your phone with you right now, go into your camera app and just check if the location tags are on or off. Now, exit files and location tagging is supposed to serve a great purpose for people that are taking photos. It's supposed to identify the user, the person who's taking the photo, for intellectual property purposes. And also you want to take the location. So it has a unique tag. So the more information you have on that photo, if it is your property, is better because it's less of a chance of someone taking that photo and using it as their property. Yeah. Some great fishing holes. There we go.
And it gives you the guess location of where they're actually.
There you go. So
You are data mining.
I know where your cat lives. I love it. Does anybody use Strava? The Strava app? Yeah. And I
Go
noticed,
there, you can put your neighborhood
like, they tag pictures of their cat.
and point to the house that it lives in.
If you could put that on there, that would be amazing. Okay. Yeah.
Is that the one that like was revealing U.S. military location?
The Strava app or the cat one?
Or is Strava the one that like it maps your
Yeah.
that you do?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
every single bike ride I take, it shows what I'm leaving from my house every time. So if there were a very sophisticated bike thief out there, they would probably know that I have a few $1,000s worth of bicycles and equipment at my house. If they were that sophisticated. There's not really anybody that sophisticated who steals bikes in my neighborhood. Yes.
But the interesting one with that is the U.S. military location. So Strava like put out maps of all the lines
Right.
being drawn by all their users.
Right.
Which, you know, anonymous, whatever, but they're in the middle of like Afghanistan with this nice little rectangle
Around a base.
that where soldiers can do their run, but it's not officially a
Mhm.
U.S. military location.
Mhm.
But
Good
now
to know.
everybody knows where they are.
If you could find an article to that, would
Yeah,
you be able
I'll
to
link
post
it
that
in
on the
the
discussion page? Thank you very much. That's great. All right. So, how many people's location was turned on their camera app? Yeah, mine was too. It was. Now it's off. And that's okay. I don't need, it's okay if people take my pictures of the toe of my shoe that my kid took by accident. That's all right. I don't mind giving that a hold. Oh, okay. All right. So we've talked a lot about security. We've talked about warnings, and we've talked about being aware now. So, geolocation services or location tagging. I love watching baseball. I love watching baseball. And I love watching West Coast games after all my family goes to sleep and then falling asleep on the couch while I'm watching those baseball games. It's very soothing. But without my location service being turned on for the MLB at Bat app, I can't access those games. I can't. Unless, of course, I switch to something like a VPN or something like that, which shows people I exist somewhere else. But I haven't paid for it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to the next slide. Any other apps that people can think of that you have to show your location to them? There's one app that a lot of people use to get places. Yes, back in the back. Google Maps, absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
Netflix.
All right. All right. Good. So some of the benefits of digital tracking. You don't know what active and passive tracking is yet, and this slide was moved up to this spot last night at some point. So we're going to talk about active and passive digital tracking. Holy moly. Okay. Has anyone ever seen this app, MyFitnessPal? All right, so my friend swears by this app. He got this about 3 years ago, and he enters almost every single one of his meals into this app. And he swears that this is what keeps him honest as far as his diet and his exercise go. It keeps him motivated to do so. So in that case, he shares a lot of information through that app. And it's perfectly handy that I can continue on the Under Armour Tracker app with the Facebook login. I don't have to remember my password. I could just click on that, but I know now that I should probably just hold up a sec and just yield and just be mindful about what I want happening there. Again, I made it a cheeky username. These things give me great joy when I later have to present. It gets my energy up. Alrighty. So we have a benefit to this and possibly a drawback to this. So go on to the discussion page, and I'd like you to list I would like you to list a benefit for going into this app and possibly clicking on continuous map. Sorry, Arnold. Where's my name tag? And also what a possible drawback might be. So this is an example of active tracking. An example of active tracking. So I'm actively making a choice to hit that button. Share information between platforms. A convenient login, and we have a drawback, connecting accounts and information. Benefit, don't have to remember your password. Drawback, you may be giving them more info. Okay, yeah. So this is a third party. This is a third party app that's accessing your information on Facebook. However, you can go into your settings and disable that sharing as well. In your privacy settings, you can go in, you can change that. There we have. Okay, Facebook will be able to target diet and exercise advertising to you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Richard. If Facebook is secure, you don't have to worry about the third-party site having your password. Okay, sure, yeah, absolutely. And again, you can change that. So you can go in and change the settings. Let's see what's next. Ready. Tip number 4. Does anybody know what a MAC address is? Your MAC address? Yes? Media access control, good stuff. It's on the definition page, but it's another way that your phone or your device spits out information about you and your device. It's how your device talks to other devices as well. So there's a benefit to that. But this is what I like to call a passive tracking method. Passive. Because when you are connecting, you need this MAC address to be able to talk to something else. There are ways to hide your MAC address and to mask that, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But if you want to take a second now and try to find your MAC address on your iPhone, your iPad, or your Android, go ahead and do that. And once you have, just give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. I found mine in About on my Android phone. Thank you. That was quick. That's the Android. How many people run Apple products in here? How many people are on Android? That's more Androids than I've seen in a room, I think, ever before giving a presentation. It's really interesting. And it's a data security presentation. I don't know what I can draw from that, but I thought it'd be fun to go, oh. Okay. So know your addresses. Know your addresses. So I'm giving you these tips because you are going to use these tips in a discussion with the people at your table later to try to figure out how to come up with some success strategies in your class. Please don't click too far ahead because it will give away the answers. Some of you might have discovered that already, but the answers are there, and it's not much of a discussion, but that's okay. You can just discuss the answers as they come up. That's fine. All right. We'll move on a bit more. Good. Your Bluetooth address. So you have your MAC address, your IP address, and your Bluetooth address as well. There is no reason, I think, that you should have your Bluetooth on all the time. What are some disadvantages to having your Bluetooth on all the time? Drains battery, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Also, other devices may be able to discover your phone. If you've enabled and said, allow other devices to find my device, then other devices might be able to do that. So you can go in and you can find what your address is if you'd like, but you can also just disable disable your Bluetooth. Okay. Encryption. I am not going to go into the deep meaning of encryption or what it is or how it's done or anything like that, because I am not an expert in encryption at all. I am not. But there are ways that you can encrypt your information, your data, so it's more of a challenge for people to mine your data, especially if you're in a public place. So one of them, of course, is something called Tor. Now, Tor works on a principle that you'll see in a video in a couple more slides. But the advantages of Tor is that no one can trace any kind of external IP addresses that you visited. And this is great for people who live in countries that limit access to the internet. And also for people like who want to protest something, who don't want to be found, who are activists in countries. There's a distributed network. It's almost impossible to shut it down because your information is bouncing through a community of people's computers before it gets to where it has to go and then comes back to you. This is an open source technology. These are volunteers that maintain these computers that your information bounces through. The disadvantages are that it's slow. It's pretty slow. The Onion browser that I was using last night was considerably slower than my Chrome browser. Okay, VPNs. Students love their VPNs, but no VPN is necessarily free. Did anyone see Tim King's presentation next door today? All right, well, Tim was talking about how these students find these VPNs, they share them with all their friends, say, go on this VPN, it's really quick, and they're quite a bit faster because they're only passing through one VPN service to get where you need them to go. However, if you've not read the privacy policy in the VPN services policies well enough, they may be sharing your information that passes through the virtual private network with a third party. They may be. If you pay for one, you might get a higher level of security because you're paying for that service. All right. So it's fast, and VPNs are ideal for streaming geo-restricted media content like ball games. If I don't want to have my location services on, it might work on a ball game. I don't know. I've never tried. I don't have a VPN on any of my devices. Has anyone used a VPN in this room before? Yeah? Paid VPN or free? Paid? Okay, cool. Alrighty. So let's see what a Tor is.
We've gotten very used to the internet. We're constantly sharing information about ourselves and our private lives. Food we eat, people we meet, places we go, and the stuff we read. Let me explain it better. Right at this moment, if someone attempts to look you up, they will see your real identity, precise location, operating system, all the sites you have visited, the browser you used to surf the web, and so much more information about you and your life, which you probably didn't mean to share with unknown strangers who could easily use this data to exploit you. But not if you're using Tor. Tor browser protects our privacy and identity on the internet. Tor secures your connection with 3 layers of encryption and passes it through 3 voluntarily operated servers around the world, which enables us to communicate anonymously over the internet. Tor also protects our data against corporate or government-targeted and mass surveillance. Perhaps you live in a repressive country which tries to control and surveil the internet. Or perhaps you don't want big corporations taking advantage of your personal information. Tor makes all of its users to look the same, which confuses the observer and makes you anonymous. So the more people use the Tor network, the stronger it gets, as it's easier to hide in a crowd of people who look exactly the same. You can bypass the censorship without being worried about the censor knowing what you do on the internet. The ads won't follow you everywhere for months, starting when you first clicked on a product. By using Tor, the sites you visit won't even know who you are and from what part of the world you're visiting them, unless you log in and tell them so. By downloading and using Tor, we can also protect the people who need anonymity, like activists, journalists, and bloggers. So download and use Tor or run a relay.
Okay, so I downloaded the Tor browser last night, and I downloaded the Windows 8.3 version of it on a Windows 10 computer, and it works. It works. It's slower, but it works. So if that's something you'd like to try today, try it out. Alrighty, know your stuff. Know your stuff. Now's the time that you can click on any of these three icons here to know what your rights are with these companies. So I've got the Twitter machine, the Snapface, Snapchat, and the Instagram. They're all there. You need to click on them. So take a look if you'd like, and then you can put in the discussion page any surprising clauses that you may have found. So if there's anything that surprised you. How many people use Twitter on a regular basis in here? Thumbs up nice and high. We're almost at lunch. Good energy out there. I love it. Good. Check out Twitter then. If you use Instagram, sometimes great. Does anyone use Snapchat? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Excellent. I know that some teachers will go on and they will post information about their class on Snapchat. And I know that there are some kids out there who told me, I don't know how often they do this, but they share information about their classes on Snapchat as well with their friends. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Also interesting, directly in the privacy policy for Snapchat, it says your snaps are still able to be screenshotted. It says that in the Snapchat privacy policy. And I show kids that. I also show kids the fact that when you share your photos, they become the property of Snap International, Snap Incorporated. They own them, unless, of course, you go in and you turn that setting off. All right, thank you. So we have, okay, you're welcome, Jill. That's great. Okay, any surprising clauses in there? Anything interesting that anyone wants to raise? No? Almost of them. Alrighty, so a handy T-chart. That's right, a handy T-chart. So we've gone through some strategies already. This is a summary of some of those strategies that we've looked at in this workshop so far. So we have active tracking on the left in green. Like it's a go. I have to hover over these little color codings when I create my slideshows because I can't tell what the colors are. I don't know. When this is like next to yellow and red, they all look kind of similar to me. So I'm glad for my sake that when you hover over it, it says green. And then of course, passive tracking on this side. So we've looked at Bluetooth, MAC address, IP address. Tower tracking is something interesting. This is something that back in 2017, Google was doing without their users' permissions. However, they did put it in one of their privacy updates for Chrome and for their phones. That they were using tower and the data that was pinged off of those towers, even if you did not have any location services on or location tagging enabled, that they could still access your phone, go through your information, share your information, and so on through something called tower tracking. That's a passive tracking. Good way to defend against that, shut your phone off. There you go. That's a physical strategy to do that. We've got public Wi-Fi, we've got a VPN or Tor. If you are browsing in a public place, try the Onion browser. And let's take a look at some strategies because we're almost done and I don't want to miss this part. So co-creating success criteria. There are 5 strategies that are here. So this is some of the language that you can use when you go into a classroom. To keep my data secure, I can. 1, secure my phone. 2, power off my phone. 3, protect access to my phone. 4, keep my phone hidden. And 5, limit access to my phone. Limit access. So, how would I secure a device if I was to walk into a building, a school, and so on? How would I secure a device? Let's look at it specifically from the perspective of a student. How can they secure their device when they're at school? The simplest possible way to secure a device. What's that? What's that? Yes. That's the access to your phone if it's on. Yep. Don't turn it. Okay. Let's go even simpler here, folks.
Lock it up.
Lock it up. Shut it down. Put it in my locker. Absolutely. That's strategy number 1. Don't bring it with you. Leave it at home locked up. Lock it in your locker at school. Right? But these are things that students just don't think about. They just don't think about as far as physical strategies go. Or just strategies, as it says up there. Let's just hashtag that out. Check out these strategies. It's like I meant to do it. Sound cooler. Like, what happened? That's a good strategy. Leave your phone, lock the locker. Power it off and power it often. Another hashtagable one right there, everybody. Power off, power often. Make a unique password. Enable your fingerprint recognition. Passwords are like underwear. Don't share them with anyone and change them often. I love that. I will keep using that. Leave the phone in a backpack when you go into the class. So you're not tempted, so you don't have it on. Have all those things off. Zip the backpack closed. Have the backpack close to you. And finally, take the phone out less when you're in public. Don't have it out there where someone can possibly grab it out of your hand. Don't give it to anyone else and say, here, look at my phone. And don't leave it on a table and walk away. So these are physical strategies that possibly students don't even think about because it's ubiquitous. It's always there. So if we cut the tether, we can cut down on some data share. All right, next. Active tracking. So, know your rights, even from great heights. That's the tower tracking. Keep my location secret. Clean up after myself, and be aware when signing in with ellipsis. So, before I enter school or class, I will read a privacy policy for such classes as tower tracking, disable location tags in EXIF files or other apps, clear my browser cache, and finally, be wary of sign in with pages when I'm downloading new apps. So these are all in context of also downloading new apps. And then finally, we're going to look at passive tracking here. Okay, know your address. Be careful with your address. Know your rights. Be careful where you surf. And be aware of where or what I'm connecting to. Those are your Bluetooth devices. All right. Before I enter school or class, I will find my MAC and IP address on my device. So you know where it is. Maybe if you're in a public place, you are using a VPN or Tor to protect that address. It's encrypting your information. Read the privacy policy of each app and check your data, where your data is going to. Be wary of looking at sensitive data such as banking on public Wi-Fi. So many students I see in my classroom with the public Wi-Fi on that are looking at banking information. I mean, most of them have VPNs on, which is good for that, unless you're spouting that banking information off to a shady place in Hungary with a James Bond type villain who's selling your information, using it for some untoward purpose. And then find out, is my device discoverable right now? Do I have my Wi-Fi shut off? Do I need my Bluetooth on right now? Is it necessary for my location services to be on? All those things that pop up at the top of your phone there, and all the 18 things that I see on students' phones. They can't figure out why their phone is dying after an hour, when they have their banners popping up and their notifications coming on. This just gets them to be really aware of purposeful use of the device. And that's the next step here, is the purposeful use of a device. So in my classroom, what we will do is if they have a digital device on hand, they must show me individually that they go in and shut the notifications off for each app, not airplane mode. I get them to physically go in and shut them off, talk to me about location tagging and so on. All apps also must be swiped away. Double tap that home screen or that home button, swipe those apps away. If they're listening to music, show me that you're listening to one album or you have a curated playlist that you have on, because I don't want it to be a distraction. Temptation goes away. So it becomes a tool. It becomes a purposeful device in the classroom. Co-create success criteria and also look at apps like Read and Write for Google Chrome and Google Keep if they're using that in their class. Education. Some great links here, some great resources for you to play around with and take a look at. The digital compass game is a bit dated now. It does run on Flash, and I know that some devices are no longer going to support Flash, but it's handy. The kids at any age, I find, like it. Even grade 12s who play this game get a kick out of it. It's a lot of fun. Go on to especially the citation one and try to get arrested in that game. It's good fun. Alrighty. Get cyber safe. This is one from the federal government. And then we have the Cybersecurity 101 quiz. This one is great. It has videos. It has little quizzes that you can take in between. And it taught me a lot about what my starting point should be for this presentation. Okay. Take some time. Put your experience in the YouTube live discussion. The discussion will still be up there even when the video is done. So you can still put comments down in the comment section under the video. You can still do that. So the live discussion will be gone, but you can put comments under the video itself. People can still go in here and check it out. You can rewatch this. If you really like the sound of my voice, then you can go back and do that. All right. That's it, everybody. Thanks for listening today. Yes, question in the back. Oh, a round of applause, too. Thank you. The URL? I certainly can. If you click on the last slide, it kicks you back to the first slide. There you go.
If you're interested in privacy, there's another presentation tomorrow at 11. Actually, the privacy officer from my board and Patrick McVeigh is at 11.
I'll see you in the lunch line.
Yeah.